seems everyone knows someone taking a GLP-1 weight loss medication. 15 million Americans are taking the drugs, but many are doing it for more reasons than just to lose weight. Senior health correspondent Monica Robbins is in Studio B to tell us more. Good morning, Monica.
Good morning, Danita. Yeah, we all know we have to eat right, but it's not so easy when you're on a medication that curbs your appetite. Joining me now is Cleveland Clinic registered dietitian Julia Zumpano. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So, not a big surprise, but kind of a big surprise. Now we're seeing all these major chain restaurants changing their menus to accommodate all of these folks who are taking the weight loss medications, because it's 1 in 8 Americans.
Yeah, that's a staggering number.
Yeah, so does this surprise you that they're doing this?
You know, it does at first, and then the more I think about it, I think it's a great change in the right direction. So these big companies, these fast food restaurants are editing and now providing more healthy options. So we have higher protein options, smaller meals, and even adding some fiber to them, like a lettuce wrap instead of a bun. So we're adding some more nutrients to the food options, which I think is a change that we've needed for quite some time.
So the trick with the GLP, my understanding, is you need a lot of protein.
You do. So you can lose muscle mass because when we lose weight quickly, we lose fat and muscle. So to spare some of that muscle loss, you have to make sure you're meeting your protein needs and doing some light resistance training to be able to maintain that muscle. So protein is the name of the game here. It's really, really important to meet your protein needs.
But so how much protein does an average person need, say a 170-pound person?
So protein guidelines have just increased with the new dietary guidelines for Americans. So we're looking at about 1.4 to 1.6 grams of protein per kilogram body weight. So, you know, anywhere along the lines of 90 to 150 grams of protein is probably most people's range. Now, depending on your weight, it could get higher than that. So it's a really good thing to be able to calculate your protein needs to be able to meet what you need and know that number, especially on a GLP-1.
So if you're doing that, that is a lot of protein to eat if you have no appetite. How do you do that?
Right, we're really shifting into providing more nutrient-dense foods and focusing on protein and fiber to meet dietary needs, especially in a GLP-1. So to do that, we need quick, easy things that we can snack on throughout the day. Appetite's low, but we need to hydrate well. So protein shakes are going to help hydration as well as meeting protein needs. We can also make smoothies or use a protein powder. I have some examples here too. A Greek yogurt drink that's high in protein, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese. Snacks should always incorporate protein and fiber. An apple with some almond butter. Whatever you do, you have to think protein, fiber. Is there protein and fiber in this meal?
Is it difficult for folks to stick to this because the weight loss is so fast, and then you get all of those other side effects like the hair loss and, you know, other changes that people are noticing?
Just like any medication, some people tolerate it better than others. So some people do great on these meds, and some people do tend to have more side effects. So you have to know yourself. You have to plan ahead for some of those side effects. We have that slowed gastric emptying, which can cause a lot of those GI upsets. If you're not getting enough protein, you will see some hair loss. So we can plan ahead for some of these symptoms and try to plan our diet accordingly to minimize the outcome of the symptom.
So cost is such a barrier because these drugs, even though prices have gone down and now there's a pill available that is supposedly going to lower prices even more, it's still a barrier for a lot of people to take these medications. Can the GLP diet work for everybody?
Well, there's not necessarily a GLP-1 diet per se, but small, frequent meals, yes, can be very beneficial. High protein, high fiber foods, absolutely. You know, we curb our appetite. We manage our blood sugars by eating high fiber, high protein, and small, more frequent meals. So yes, that can help. Adequate fluid, that's a big one. Most of us are not having, meeting our fluid needs. So that's a huge step in the right direction. So yes, you can certainly try this without being on the medication.
And it's January, so every new diet fad is on social media, and the big hot one is the gelatin trick. What is this, and is it safe? Does it work?
So it's when you consume gelatin with water, hot water. You could do it with bone broth before meals to fill you up, to curb your appetite. There's probably not much harm in it, except if you're doing it too much and having GI symptoms. But really, is that something long-term that we're going to do? I'd say let's focus on healthy eating. Let's focus on small, more frequent meals. Let's hit those protein targets, hit those fiber targets. That alone will keep you satiated and keep your muscle mass up and keep your appetite controlled. So just focus on basic healthy eating.
Do you think a lot of people should, if they're going to take a GLP, like so many Americans are starting to do, is it time to make an appointment with a nutritionist as well?
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Especially now, because meeting the protein needs, meeting the fiber needs, minimizing some of those side effects like the reflux, a dietitian can be essential in helping you stay on this medication and minimizing your symptoms and getting the best outcome, not having you deplete your muscle mass and feel healthy, feel strong and look strong. And really the goal is not just weight loss, it's longevity and decreasing your risk of chronic disease. And a dietitian can really help with that.
Thank you so much for your insight. I know a lot of people are sitting there on the edge of their seats learning from you. All right, Julia, thank you. Danita, back to you.
You're right about that. We were learning a lot. Thank you so much, Monica.